subscribe, and please rate and review our show. I'm your host, Mamu, joined by the third consecutive day by producer and co-host Alex Wong. We will have a guest today, Oren Weisfeld, coming up in the second segment. Our the basketball expert, and also just a good friend of the program. But yeah, first off, can we do tampering right at the top?
What? With what?
Shay.
Oh, we're talking about Shay the entire hour today.
Oh, okay. Great.
I don't know if you're aware of that. Actually, I was wondering, why have we never talked about Shay to Toronto on the show? We've literally never talked about it. At least me and you.
I feel like last season there were more discussions about, I don't know, just Scotty in general. You know, Pascal coming back from injury, Fred had the All-Star thing. Like, there were so many things to talk about that we never really got to it. And also the games against OKC last year just weren't that memorable. I think the Raptors missed Shai once because, you know, he was injured. And so, yeah, I don't know. It just didn't become a topic. However, it is definitely a topic today.
Oh, it's a topic today. So Sam Amick of The Athletic, I was trying to get him on the show today, but we didn't connect. I don't know if I need to get Twitter blue or something.
Wow.
Maybe that'll fix that. But he wrote an article this week talking to NBA execs around the league about just different trade chatter, and Shay's name came up. And one of the execs said, quote, "You keep hearing that Shay is frustrated with the losing." So that's the Toronto thing that we've all heard about with their interest in Shay this summer. But how far do the Thunder want to push this tanking effort? So we know that OKC's been on this rebuild since they acquired Shay. I mean, the Shay trade, I think, kickstarted it.
That was the rebuild.
They traded Paul George to the Clippers.
Part of the Kawhi saga as well.
Yeah, part of the Jeremy Castleberry saga. And they've been losing. They've been accumulating picks. And, you know, Shay was asked about this on Media Day at the start of this season about whether he was frustrated. And he said that, you know, we've lost more than we liked the last couple of years, and it's not been fun. With that being said, though, I know what I signed up for, and I signed a 5-year extension. I don't think we're going to be losing for much longer. So it's not like I signed up to lose or anything. Well, Shay's been playing out of his mind this season, 31.6 points per game, 4.5 rebounds, 5.6 assists. But the losing is continuing.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I know you were watching clips of their overtime loss to the Milwaukee Bucks earlier this week. So, I mean, the chatter's out there. So what do you make of all of this?
I mean, first off, there's a long history of the Raptors wanting Shay, and we'll get into that in a second. Not just this report, but, you know, other ones that have sporadically come out over the year. To his point about frustration, I mean, look, obviously there's certain things you can't help, right? Like Chet getting injured, you know, before the season even starts. He was going to be probably the big exciting piece that they're going to add this year. Would that have changed their outcomes for the season? Probably not. They probably will be in the exact same position. But it's very clear that they're a rebuilding project. It's very clear that Shay is the best player on that team by leaps and bounds, and there's nobody remotely even close to him that can help him sort of sustain the effort. And then when you look at sort of the intention or the surrounding cast of the roster, it's not like they have any veterans that really can help him contribute and win now. You know what I mean? And so for him, it's like, okay, that's fine. I'm a young player. You know, this is my 5th year in the league. You know, I still have yet to make, you know, an impression in terms of, you know, All-Star or All-NBA, even though he is that caliber of player, but he hasn't made it yet. So let me try to, you know, just see what I can do, right? And so what he's doing right now is literally as good as anybody could do in that situation. He's averaging 32 points per game. He's leading the league in drives per game. He drives the ball more than Ja Morant. You know, and Ja, like, look at Ja, right? He's like built to, you know, get downhill and dunk on people, right? He drives to the rim more than Ja, more than Luka, more than anybody in the league, more than Giannis. He's averaging 32 points. He's shooting 54% from the field. And then you have games like the most recent one where they lose in double OT to Milwaukee. Shay plays 46 minutes in this game. The Bucks, obviously they're very tough, right? They're 10-1 after this game. However, the Bucks were also resting Giannis. We're resting Drew Holiday.
I was aware. I had them on a 3-game parlay.
Yeah. They said we're good. Yeah. Right? Javon Carter, it's your turn.
Javon Carter outplayed Shay that game.
Bobby Portis is your turn, okay?
Yeah.
So Shay's playing 46 minutes against that opponent with Marjon Beauchamp as their starting 2 guard. You're familiar with his game?
I can't say that I am.
Exactly, right? So he had 19 points on this OKC team. Shai scores 39 points in this game, and in the first overtime period, draws a foul, goes to the free throw line, puts him up 2, right? It's OKC up 2 with 50 seconds left. Big play at home, gets the crowd excited, makes both free throws clutch as he always is. The next play down, the Bucks throw the ball into the post to Brook Lopez. That's the opponent they're playing, right? Brook Lopez is their go-to scorer in the last minute of overtime. They throw the ball down at Brook Lopez. You know who's guarding Brook Lopez? Poku. They got a hockey stick. They don't not a hockey stick. They got a hockey stick, all right, guarding Brook Lopez in the post. Isolation, one-on-one. Poku has the same BMI as like Chris Boucher. You know what I mean? Like it's a post mismatch.
Yeah.
Right? Brook Lopez easily scores around him, and within 5 seconds has bullied his way to the basket and tied the game. So all Shai's work to put them up is now neutralized. Now it's a tie game. They go one possession, empty back and forth. Shai has Wes Matthews on him. Beautiful step back jumper, right, for 3, and then puts them up 1, right, with like literally less than a second left. For sure, you would think if Shai's mind, he's like, "Yo, I'm feeling amazing. I just hit this 3. Yes, my team sucks, but it's okay. Like I've done everything, and I'm beating the Bucks, right? I'm about to hand the Bucks their second loss of the season. No, under a second left, they can't protect a 1-point lead under a second left. Brook Lopez gets fouled, and he goes to the free throw line, splits 2, forces double overtime, and then eventually OKC loses in double overtime. Shai finished that game 39 points, 46 minutes, and he loses to Brook Lopez because like the Thunder are literally guarding him with Poku, who is essentially a hockey stick.
Yeah.
So would you be frustrated in this kind of game?
Yeah, but I think when you talk about the trade stuff, I mean, you know, he's under contract. So this is the first year of his 5-year extension that kicked in, right?
Yes, of
like
course.
5 years. 5 years, $172 million. So he's under contract through the 2026-27 season. And I guess the other question would be, you know, he is frustrated, but at what point is OKC actually going to consider doing this?
Well,
Or versus at what point is Shai going to be frustrated enough where he's going to say, you know, this is a situation I don't want to be in? I feel like it wouldn't be this year. I feel like it would be next year.
if KD couldn't get Joe Tsai to budge, if Kevin Durant, two-time NBA champion, one of the greatest scorers of all time, demands a trade and he couldn't get Joe Tsai to fold.
No, that's a Chinese billionaire, man. That's a different game. It's a whole new game.
No, that's a whole different
That's
game.
a whole
That's
new
a different game. You're right. But the point is, though, like, even if he did ask for a trade, which, by the way, he's not close to doing.
No.
It's not like this is some imminent thing. Like, I don't want fans to think, like, oh, this is about to happen right now. It's not going to happen. First year into a 5-year extension. But I think down the line, this is a situation you monitor continuously.
Sure.
And you have to see where he's at and where the Thunder are at. Because if I told you in 3 years from now that the Thunder are still going to be 30 and 52, would that surprise you?
No. But also, I guess the other scenario would be, you know, if they land the number 1 pick this year,
okay,
and they get Victor Wembanyama.
Adam Silver, step in and stop that from happening. You know, like we saw you step in with Kyrie finally. Now step in with OKC. Don't let them get the first pick. What have they done to deserve the first pick?
They don't deserve it, but deserve's got nothing to do with it.
Oh, okay.
That's what they used to say on your favorite show.
That's the wire. Yeah, that's a great quote. But you're right though. Like,
no,
yes, they get the first pick.
The best case scenario on the flip side, right? Like on the flip side, you say, okay, on one hand, they could just be rebuilding, still winning 30 games. On the flip side, the door's closed, I think, if they get someone like Victor Wembanyama. They make a couple moves in free agency, and suddenly they are actually contending. I think all Shai wants to see is that there's a path towards contending.
I think he probably wants to see that his efforts aren't going in vain.
Sure.
Because Poku is denying his game-winning attempts 2 plays in a row.
Well, I pulled up their roster. So Shai's 24.
Yeah.
So if I'm looking at players that are younger than him on the roster, right? Like, I guess the only ones that really stand out to me are Josh Giddey.
Yep.
And Chet Holmgren.
Yeah.
Who, like you mentioned, is out for this season. And Lou Dort, I guess I'll throw Lou Dort in there. But Lou Dort's not.
Another situation I would monitor, too.
Yeah, I would love Lou Dort.
Hey, listen.
Oh, my God. Can you imagine OG and Lou Dort?
Yes.
Together?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Oh, brother. That would actually be their nickname, just oh, brother.
Yeah, no, legit. You would never play any offense on the side of the
the
floor.
other team would have 55 shot attempts a game. It'd be like 25 steals. But just looking at the roster, there's not this huge, like you mentioned, this huge collection of talent there that's ready to grow together and win right now, right? Like it's just not there.
Yeah, their veterans off the bench are Mike Muscala and Kenrich Williams, man.
Yeah. What? But at the same time, I think this is one of those things where like Raptors fans have been talking a lot about Shai. And it's one of those things where I just don't think there's anything there right now.
No, right now there's nothing there. To be very clear, there's nothing there right now. I just think that it's a situation you monitor. And also, by the way, like I don't think you should ignore this. And I don't think this is the reason for Shai's involvement in the national team or Nick's involvement with the national team. But I think it's also a point in their favor that he can get familiarized with, you know, the facilities that the Raptors have. Yeah. The coaching staff that the Raptors will be operating under. Because a lot of Team Canada's facilities and the way they operate out of Toronto. Yeah. You know, everyone in the NBA really knows each other, but you really, really know each other when you come to Global Jam. And Shai's sitting there courtside and, you know, chops it up with Masai and Bobby a little bit. Again, not a tampering thing. Just like a, hey, how you doing? You know, it reminds me of last season, early in the year, when Goran Dragic said, I got higher ambitions, wasn't playing basketball, and then the Dallas Mavericks are in town, and then for the entire warm-up, he just didn't even take a single shot and literally just chatted with Mark Cuban, Igor Kokoshkov, Jason Kidd, Luka Doncic. You know, that's not tampering. That's just like getting to know each other, right? So anyway, the point is, you build these kind of connections, and I think for the Raptors though, there's definitely interest because of course Shai is like one of the best guards in the league. Period. Not just one of the best young guards, one of the best guards in the league. He
fits the timeline. He's 24. If you're able to acquire him within the next couple of years,
his skill set is amazing. It does fit the team really nicely. He's playing a lot of defense this year too. A lot of deflections. Really high up there in the steals charts. I know Nick Nurse must be thrilled with that portion of it as well. But yeah, I mean, like there's a long history of this going back to 2018. Right, this is a tempestuous time for the Toronto Raptors. 2018. Whoa. All right,
Oxford Dictionary.
Dwayne Casey was about to get fired. DeMar DeRozan was about to get traded. Kyle Lowry's name was out there in trade discussions. Right, at that time, the Raptors had just gone swept by the Cavs again.
Oh yeah, which one?
The second time.
Oh okay.
Yeah. Even though even though 2016 kind of felt like a sweep because of how one-sided it was, that was not a sweep. So this is the second sweep. Right. June 18th. All right. Mark Stein tweets out this draft scuttle. Hearing Toronto is exploring all of its trade options in hopes of assembling a deal to acquire a draft pick high enough to select Kentucky's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. I'm glad you reminded me. I remember this. So, you know what? Masai is the anti-LeBron when it comes to lying.
Yeah.
Because in retrospect, like the two players that Masai has reportedly, very publicly reportedly gone for are Giannis and Shai.
Yes. Yeah. And I don't think that's like reportedly. I think he really did go after these guys.
He got Giannis a passport.
he got his whole family visas, which is actually just an amazing thing, just independent of anything. Yeah. But also at the same time, you know that there's a long-term connection. This is a long-term connection. June 18th, 2018. Shai wasn't even in the league at that time. Shai at that time was mocked in terms of the mock drafts, roughly like the 10 to 20 range, right?
Sure.
And so the Raptors were trying to trade up to get to that pick. And Mark Stein followed up with, according to one league source, no one on the Toronto Raptors roster is off limits as the Raptors pursue a top 10 pick.
I mean, this was them coming off getting swept, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so definitely no one was off limits.
No one was off limits. And again, the Raptors went a different direction. They traded for Kawhi Leonard. Yeah. They swapped out Dwayne Casey for Nick Nurse. They got Marcus Gasol down the line. And of course, we all know what happened there. But that was the thing. There's a long-term connection with this one. And you hear it time and time again. And to be honest, like, it's going to be hard to get a public answer from Shai about like what his desires are, because obviously that would just like, he wouldn't invite controversy.
Well, you're not going to get it. Yeah.
But, you can also just judge his enthusiasm for playing at home based on his actions.
Yeah. I think all of these things is not things that like point to, the fact that he'll come here. But I think, it's definitely, it doesn't take it off the table. You know what I mean? Because
I could just see how unnamed league sources could connect the dots on this one.
Yeah. And this is like, I mean, there are certain players who like maybe don't want to play at home, like especially as a Canadian player. Maybe they don't want to be playing on the Raptors.
Why not?
You don't know that. I remember that's just one of the funniest stories. I did a story a couple of years ago. I was talking to Jamal Murray, and like, just how at the end you ask them, like, you ask the Raptors players like fate of the universe type, just like chill questions to wrap up, right?
Okay.
So I was jokingly, I was just like, so are you like in a group chat with all the Canadian players and stuff? And then he like snapped at me.
Oh, okay.
He's like, what do you think this is? Just because I'm a Canadian? I'm in a chat with all these guys?
Probably is.
He's like, what kind of question is that? I was like, all right, thanks, Jamal. See you later, man. So Jamal Murray confirmed not wanting to come to the Raptors. No, but I think there's certain players who might not want that, right? Like playing at home, whether it's in Toronto or somewhere else. Like I remember a long time ago, Damon Stoudemire talked about it too, like going back to Portland when he got traded. You got to sit this one out because it's pre-2001.
I'm looking up Damon.
Like he was from he was from Oregon, and he's like, oh, going back home and just like having all my friends around me and stuff. Like there's pros and cons to that, right?
Yeah, no, I hear that.
No, I think like when it comes down to it, that is another thing to consider.
Sure.
But on the flip side, like I am very interested about like all these Canadian players that we're seeing, like even the rookies now with like Benedict Mathurin and Shaden Sharp. Like there's just
Andrew
a huge
Nembhard,
right.
Yep.
Like there's just new crop of guys now.
Yeah.
Like I'm wondering, like, man, like if Raptors fans want at some point for there to be an influx of talent to come like via free agency and stuff, I think it would come from that group.
This is the one distinct advantage that the Raptors have. The Raptors can have the best organization possible. They can have the best coaching staff possible. They can have the best training, the best fans, the best marketing opportunities. You can say all that. I think the Raptors are pretty close to maxed out on all those fronts. You know? The one thing you can't really get over is telling Americans to come to Canada. And it's not something that's impossible. We've seen lots of really great players ultimately choose to stay. Kyle, DeMar, Pascal. I guess Pascal's not American, but Fred.
But they still never convinced an American free agent to join them without being in the organization.
Well, first. Otto. All right, your boy.
Yes, Otto, my guy, best free agent signing. But
no,
you know what
exactly.
I mean. We're talking about like elite level players.
No,
right?
we're talking about DeMar Carroll is like their biggest like, name. Oh, Hito Turkoglu. Well, that was a little different. I believe the reports at the time was that it was between Portland and Toronto, and his wife preferred the Turkish community here in Toronto. I don't imagine there's a big Turkish community in Portland.
Okay.
But yeah, like, you know, in terms of getting Americans to come here, it is a bit of a challenge because you're literally convincing them to leave home. Then you got to cross the border and this and that, and the visas with families, and honestly, people come up with pretty strange reasons.
Sure.
To be honest, like like the metric system and stuff like that, or it's like cold or whatever. But there's that, and then the other portion is just like there are certain places in the league that have a built-in advantage for tax. Like when you're making that much money, you're getting taxed for a lot of money, and so it's not a surprise that rich people want less taxes.
Yeah.
So like places like Phoenix, places like Miami, places like anywhere in Texas, like there's a distinct advantage on that front. But again, the one advantage the Raptors will have in free agency, if they ever do get one, is the fact that they have this built-in opportunities for Canadian players to really show out on a big Canadian stage.
Yeah,
and those players they're coming up. They enter the league long enough ago now where they're going to eventually hit free agency soon. But it's probably still going to be like 3-4 more years. So we just got to wait a little bit, but it will happen.
Yeah, and they can, and a lot of these guys, obviously they talk, except for Jamal, who's not in a Canadian group chat. But like there's three Canadians on the Raptors right now, right? And like they're able to share that experience with them too, in terms of just like what it's like playing here. Like seriously though.
So it's a full court tampering effort at this point. We got coaches coaching them. We got players on the same team as them. We got executives like Global Jam. Like
I know the Raptors. I know the Raptors org don't want us talking about them like this.
Oh, I'm sure they don't. I guess.
Shouts to Bobby.
Shouts to Bobby.
But
great sweater that day.
I mean, this is separate from Shay because I think we both agree that Shay is just a situation that's like worth monitoring, and it's not something that's anything serious that's going to happen like immediately.
It's not.
It's fun to talk about.
It's not going to happen even in like 3 years. Within 3 years, it won't happen.
It's fun to talk about as a hypothetical.
Because right now, if you were to try to trade or engage OKC in a trade for Shay, they'd ask you for Barnes, and then they'd hang up if you say no.
Yeah. So. I would say let's see how they do this year, and then what happens in the draft. And if they're still struggling next year, then maybe there's be more chatter. But I do like the other comment.
Still have 4 more years though.
Yeah, but player empowerment though. If a player wants out, don't bring up KD and Joe Tsai.
KD couldn't even get Joe Tsai to fire Steve Nash. or
Well,
Sean Marks.
Jay Crowder was able to just say, "I'm staying home." Yeah.
That's different. That's
Yeah,
different.
LeBron's like, "I'm coming home." Jay Crowder was, "I'm staying home." I'm staying home. No, that's me on Tuesday. No, but I think
Oh wow.
I think it's
Shouts to
interesting. Is interesting the other conversation about, like you mentioned, the free agents, right?
Mhm,
like the Canadians and stuff.
Yeah.
Because you remember recently there was a report. I think it was from Shams, or fake Shams. Shouts to Twitter Blue. Talking about how KD viewed the Raptors in a very positive light this summer during the talks, right?
I hated that.
And you know
I
what?
don't want to know, man.
I'm tired of those. I'm tired of those, like, just a pat on the back for the Raptors
Yeah.
organization, right? Like,
hey, buddy, you had a chance.
it's like, no. Like,
Yeah.
like, let's actually be the team that, the player says he wants to go to.
Mhm. Yeah,
I don't want these empty compliments,
I agree.
Like, I
man.
want one of these free agents to actually decide. And Masai's been talking about this forever, even before Kawhi came here. And Kawhi came obviously via trade. Like, he's always said, like, one day somebody's going to look at this city, look at this organization, look at the opportunity in this country, and be able to see what they can build here.
Yeah.
And I think he was subtly probably talking to Giannis at the time about it via the media. But
Hey,
listen, they managed it. Did they not manage their cap so then it was the exact money to fit Giannis's max slot?
Oh yeah.
Tell me that's not
The
what
most
happened.
direct evidence of the Raptors were in on Giannis was that Fred VanVleet's contract was higher in the first year than it was in the second year, and then
Yeah.
it was higher in the third year, and then higher in the fourth year. You never see that pattern in the NBA. You either see escalating contracts, where they progressively go higher, or de-escalating contracts. You don't see, this sort of like W style format, and yeah, it just
Shouts to Bobby.
just so happened to coincide with that. But listen, shouts to Bobby, the accountant. All right, my Ozark, but
What?
no, but seriously though, like it's a big thing, and I think now they have a test case, they have a proof of concept in Kawhi. If Kawhi had stayed in Canada, right? I don't know. We talked about this once a week, and you're always giving this look of like, why do you have to always bring up the past? All right.
This got left after winning a championship.
Okay. All right. Enough, man. It
You believe
happened.
that?
All right. I agree. I can't believe it.
Uncle Dennis.
Okay. But the opportunities that he would have gotten on a marketing perspective, right? We're talking about there would be like an official grocery store of Kawhi Leonard. There'd be an official car of Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah.
There's official clothing of Kawhi Leonard. There's official, gum of Kawhi Leonard. You know what I mean? Like, it will be like the marketing potential is huge, especially when you get the entire country involved. Now you have a test. You have a proof of concept. You can probably go into those free agent meetings and say, "Listen, you come to this place and you win us a championship, and we market you. You see all the opportunities Kawhi got. You saw the love Kawhi got.
Yeah.
That will be you."
They don't even
And
need
that's
to
gotta
pitch
be
that,
really
man. They
tempting.
don't even got to pitch that. Everybody was watching. Everybody was watching, like all the players around the league.
Yeah.
When the Raptors were in the finals and all this stuff was happening.
Yeah.
But again, like, all this stuff is great. I just need that one player to actually make that decision to come here.
Hey, by the way, speaking of that championship, I remember the year after the championship defense season, 2019-2020,
Yeah.
Shai came to Toronto for the one visit that year.
Yeah.
It was December 29th, 2019.
Mm.
And a couple of reporters were in the locker room, back when, reporters can go to the locker room and do reporting. And we talked to Shay. There was a bit of a scrum around Shay, and he was very excited, man. He obviously wasn't like, "Yo, I was rooting for the Raptors."
Yeah.
He was like,
again.
he's like, "Yo, I'm going to go
Yeah.
out there and look at the banner, and
Sure.
obviously I grew up nearby, and this
Yeah.
is the big thing."
Yeah, no, that's
Yeah,
what I'm
just
saying.
saying,
All
just
these
saying.
things doesn't mean he's going to come here.
Yeah,
but
of course. There's
all
so
I'm
many
saying-
other steps.
All I'm saying is these are good because it does not cross off the fact that he would consider here. Which, if he didn't do these things, and I'm just saying, I think there's just certain Canadian players who probably don't want to entertain the possibility of playing in Toronto. Like, there's just there's just a different set of pressure if you're here. Hypothetical, though, real quickly.
Oh, okay. What pressure, by the way? What are we going to be like? Shay wasn't good enough today. He only scored 32 points.
I think it's just personal life,
no.
too. Like, it's just like
Yeah.
you're around, like, friends and
guess.
family and stuff. It's just different than playing in OKC. Right? But overall,
by the way, I think that's not an insignificant fact.
But overall,
It's not gonna be hard to pluck a man out of OKC.
Yo, Shay, man, I know there's only like 2 vintage stores there, man.
Oh man.
No.
There's no Queen Street in in OKC.
Man. He pulled up to Vintage We Trust and bought some hockey jerseys one time.
So he knows the local spots, man. You
Yeah.
tell me my man went to Parkdale.
Yeah,
He knows
he's
the
been to
stuff.
Parkdale.
Shouts to Vintage We Trust.
Yeah, I don't know if Josh wanted me to say that, but anyways,
whatever.
He's not listening.
Again,
Josh, if you're listening, apologies.
it's a full court. It's a full court press at this point.
No, but hypothetical though, like, what's the trade package that you would put forward for Shai? Like,
Right
say
now?
if he was made available. By the way, I don't think he's even
I don't think
technically.
he's made-
I don't think he's even technically available right now because he
Yes.
just signed the extension.
Yeah. I mean,
Their
again,
names are.
it would literally have to be Scotty plus. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That's how much it would take
But
to get Shai.
I'm gonna assume you're saying no to that.
I'm saying that we can wait a little bit longer,
Okay.
and either he comes available in free agency, and then you have a chance to pitch him that way.
That's 5 years, man. That's all I'm
You're gonna be
saying.
43.
I'm gonna be 43 savage, man.
Damn.
I'm gonna be spicy P, but
Oh, my
eating
goodness.
burritos with no spice.
I'm gonna be 35. This is tough. The show might not
Ah.
even be happening at that point.
You at 35? It's gonna be pretty
Mhm.
hilarious.
Yeah, no, the React pods will be a lot calmer. I hope.
I don't know. I doubt it.
Yeah.
No, but waiting for free agency is a long time. But Scotty is probably a no for you, right? All I'm saying is, I think versus the KD trade argument, you'd probably be willing, maybe be more flexible about giving up some players and some picks. Because you're getting a player that's going to be entering the prime of his career. Because this is everyone's biggest concern
Yeah,
about KD,
yeah,
right? That
yeah.
apparently he's like 45 and he's terrible, even though I'm pretty sure he scored 25 plus in every game this year. Like,
I know
he's
I know,
Kevin Durant,
I
man.
know you're protective of all the players that are in your same age decade.
He's Kevin Durant.
You're right. You're right.
No,
you're
but
right,
all I'm saying
you're
is,
right,
I feel
you're
like
right.
if you enter a discussion for Shai as the Raptors, maybe you're willing to take more of a risk,
Yeah, I
right?
Yeah, I agree.
and OKC would, in that scenario, have an appetite to just take all your picks.
Oh, they'll
If-
have an appetite to take all your picks.
But
Are you kidding me? OKC?
I feel bad for OKC fans. Like,
How do you feel bad for OKC? You know what? Look how the players that OKC have had on their roster within the last decade. Okay,
sure,
Kevin Durant,
yeah,
James Harden,
yeah,
Russell Westbrook,
yeah.
Serge Ibaka,
hmm
Paul George, Chris Paul.
Don't forget Melo.
They had Melo, right? Yeah, it wasn't the best Melo. It was, hey P, they want me to come off the bench,
It
Melo.
wasn't hoodie Melo. It was H&M sweater Melo.
Yeah, that's tough, man. Shouts to this one I'm wearing right now. They've had Shea. They've had a lot of great players on their team over the years.
Sure. I just
So I
mean,
don't feel bad for them. I only feel bad that they had all those players and couldn't win a championship. And meanwhile, the Raptors had one chance to do it and they did it. So
I just mean like,
they would never know that feeling.
I just mean like if they're going through this rebuild right now and somehow they have to pivot and trade Shai. Like,
yeah, it'd be hard to swallow. I'm sure there'll be a.
This is why I think you agree with me too. Like, it's not gonna happen. Like, I don't think it's gonna happen.
It's not going to happen in the next 2 or 3 years, but it's nice to look at.
It'd be a great fit, man.
It's
You look at players out there, and like Shai's probably at the top of the list. If you're like, yo, you could pick any player to add to the Raptors.
He's in my top 5. I'm not even kidding.
Might be
He's
in
so
my top
good, man.
2, man. It's him and Giannis. Yeah.
Why not both? No, you know Masai's in the office somewhere. You know the front office has these kind of conversations all the time,
Yeah, and they always say, why not both?
and then they sign Otto Porter.
Yo, come on, man.
What? No, it's true. That's how
Leave
these
my
things
guy
happen.
alone,
We
man.
do talk these things up, and then the
I
big moves
know.
in the offseason are Otto Porter.
Well, listen,
They
it's a
said you
nice
want a
move.
6'9" that can shoot threes. Boom.
Yeah. No, we need
So-
we need a big trade, man.
I mean,
we need a big trade.
Okay.
We need a jolt of energy.
No, we need to beat the Thunder tonight. I think that's more than anything
Oh, that's
else.
right.
Yeah,
By the
we
way,
actually just need to beat Shea
starting tonight, next 5 Raptors games are all on Sportsnet on TV.
Nice.
So everybody
Nice.
check it out. Cancel all your other plans and your
I don't
other
even have
cable
other
plans,
plans, man.
and cancel all your other cable networks.
Yeah.
Sportsnet is all you need. Next 5 games.
Yeah. Fair
And
enough.
Savannah Hamilton's gonna be working hard.
Oh, I can't wait for her to call Savannah and ask her what's in OKC. Other than the Reservation Dogs, a great television show.
Oh my God, my favorite show on TV right now.
I'm not even kidding. Same. It's a really good show. Go watch it. Go watch it. It's on FX.
I think people know. It's been getting a lot of buzz.
Oh, okay. All right.
Should we do our shout outs now?
Is Oren outside or something?
No, but I mean, we'd have to make him wait after the break.
No, okay, fine. Do your shout outs.
Yeah, so let's do our shout outs and
Okay.
we'll go to break.
Shout out!
Friday shout outs. Shouts to Derek Brandeo, Jennifer Rolnick, Frank, helping us behind the scenes. Really appreciate it. Devang, I think he's on vacation right now. Ryan Fabro, I believe, also on vacation. Kyle Crabb, Josiah, JR, who's becoming Will Lou Jr. Oh, Jay.
No, we've agreed that he's essentially if we did a fusion dance, he's our little go trunks.
JR getting some fits off. It's hilarious. JR's like, helps behind the scenes with tech. He's talking. We were having a conversation with our boss Dan Toma yesterday about some like sound issues at certain places.
Not just
and
improvements.
Yeah, and his advice, no, like not even for your pod, like
Yeah,
just
yeah.
at a location. And he was like, "Oh, just talk louder." was his suggestion. Which again, for anybody out there dreaming of landing your dream job, just know that anything is possible.
Right.
You know, like anything
Just try
is possible.
harder.
Yeah, Chris Tarosa, Greg Sansoni, Pat Flash. Shout to our guests this week: Steph No, Blake Murphy, Joseph Cacharo, Joe Wolfon, and Oren Weisfeld. Coming up, just want to give a quick shout out to Muhammad, who works here at OMP.
Shout out to Mo.
Ran into him in the lobby earlier this week. Huge Pound the Rock fan, huge Raptor Show fan. Shouted me out by my full name, by my full government name. Appreciate you.
Your full
Muhammad.
government name? That's different.
Oh yeah, no,
Yeah,
okay, let's not get
different.
into
That's not Alexander Wong.
oh my god, I was gonna make a joke. And also, the Real Asian Film Festival is happening.
Yeah, that's right.
At the moment, and we're going to be checking out a film by friend of the program, Kat Jamie, on Sunday called The Grizzly Truth. She talked to a lot of people in the Vancouver Grizzlies organization, basically kind of an origin story of the Grizzlies and diving into why they ended up moving to Memphis. So I'm really excited to check that out. You'll be there as well, right?
I will be there as well.
Yeah, and that'll be awesome. And also, finally, got the clearance, got the red tape, all that stuff. Just want to just quickly mention that, next week we will be promoting our next charity live event.
Yes.
Which will be taking place on Monday, December 12th. We'll have all the details next week
Yes.
on how to get tickets and all that. But, I'm happy to say we are partnering up with Chris Boucher is going to be the special guest.
Oh, friend of the program.
And we're going to be
genuinely friend of the program.
And we're going to be donating all our net proceeds to his foundation.
My boy
St.
William.
Doug Foundation.
Listen,
but
that's some real
Yeah.
my boy Williams stuff right
shouts
there.
to
No, I'm
Lane,
really proud of
shouts to
all the
Lane
work
Kwan,
we
shouts
put
to John Ing helping us behind the scenes.
Yeah.
John finally stopped gambling and spent one night working on a poster.
It looks
for
great
us.
though. So,
It looks
thank you,
amazing.
John.
Yeah. Don't bet the Magic tonight, John.
Oh god.
That's my between the lines for you.
Okay, all right.
Will, any shout outs on this Friday?
First off, now that it's public, yeah, shout out to Chris Boucher. You know, shout out to my friend Josh Hart. We did a lot of work together at Yahoo, and he lent me his
I'll
pizza
enjoy.
oven.
Oh, okay.
This past week, and so we were able to make a pizza outside.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So shout out to Josh for lending me his pizza oven.
Okay.
I know he's listening.
I thought you said he okay, never mind.
What is it?
No, never mind.
Oh, okay, all right.
I don't want to get in trouble.
God, it's so good.
All right, I thought you said you had two shout outs.
So good.
I did.
Yeah, you told me yesterday I had two shout outs.
I'll think about it during the break.
Yeah, it's really hard to talk over this Derek Verdeo.
We're taking a break. We're taking a
Oh,
break.
we're taking a break? You're done?
No, I'm gonna think about what else I'm
just
grateful
ramp it
for,
up.
and then 5 minutes later I might say it.
What
so.
if we just don't take a break? What would happen?
I
Do you think they would just cut our mics?
I think Tolman. That's what would happen. I'm your host, Wolu. That's Alex Swan. You're listening to The Raptors Show on the Sportsnet Radio Network. Welcome back to the Raptors Show on the Sportsnet Radio Network. I'm your host, Wim Liu. Alex Wong is also joining us as the co-host, and we are joined on the line by Oren Weisfeld. Oren, how you doing, man?
Hey guys, I'm doing well. 2 weeks in a row on the show, so that's crazy. It's just, did someone cancel or what's going on here?
Somebody definitely canceled. I was trying to hit up Sam Amick.
Yeah, we could have lied.
I knew I knew a big name canceled. I'm happy to fill in. Don't even worry.
I text you on like Tuesday or Wednesday to book you, so you know I'm lying.
You know, I personally requested.
You are Will's favorite guest.
Yeah.
I just
that's
like
nice.
we don't like to play favorites. Do we or do we not?
We
we don't like
definitely
to
do,
play
yeah.
favorites, but Will has said this many times off air.
No, first off, here's the thing. We wanted to talk a lot of Canada basketball today, right? Obviously, the Shay rumors came on. We did the full scale propaganda pitch. Hopefully, it lands.
You guys went back to the draft.
Hey, man, listen. There's a history here. All right, there's a history here. You know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, and then of course they're playing the Pacers on the weekend as well. You know, they have two very prominent Canadian rookies. And I was thinking about who we should talk to about this. And like, Oren, I got to give you your props, man. Like, you know Canada basketball as well as anybody does. You give them lots of coverage, and you know, you're our guy. Plus, you know, I don't know if you've heard the banter pod, but you know, I have grown fond of doing an Oren impersonation.
Don't do it on the 2 to 3.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. As a producer of your life, don't do it.
So anyway, yeah, Oren, thanks for coming on the show. Those are the things we're going to talk about.
You're also my mom's favorite guest, by the way, Oren.
All right, guys. Enough of the compliments. But
This
yeah,
is a propaganda push for everybody. For Shay, for Oren.
People listening is like, yo, why is this guy Oren getting hyped up so much?
Please talking about OKC.
Hey, Oren, we do need to settle one thing before we talk about Canada qualifying for the 2023 World Cup.
Yep, that too.
You know, we were talking on the banter pod because, you know, a couple weeks ago we had Gary Trent Sr. here, and somehow the conversation turned into who our GOATs were in music. And, you know, Jay-Z was a huge topic of conversation. You know, I speculated that your GOAT was Blink-182. So who is your GOAT?
I told you guys Blink-182 was my first concert, so they were my GOAT when I was a child.
Yeah.
I'm never wrong.
I don't really listen to much rock anymore, or whatever you would call that. I told you at the game. I think my artist GOAT is The Weeknd, and I only say that because I have to pick a Canadian. It's just in my rule book. I support, and everyone picks Drake, so I'm trying to be different. So I picked The Weeknd. The Weeknd's like modern day MJ, man. Just a great performer.
Okay.
Big catalog.
Michael Jackson. I thought you were talking about Michael Jordan. I was getting confused.
Yeah. No.
Oh, brother.
Oh, man.
So I'm going with The Weeknd.
Did I pronounce his name right?
I'm a big fan.
Remind me to never talk music with Oren again. Good picks, man. I respect that.
That's a big comp, though.
Yeah. Anyways,
have we seen The Weeknd dance?
I don't know.
Big part of the catalog.
I remember him getting lost at the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
the Super Bowl performance was amazing, though. You didn't
just
like
got
that
lost in a maze. That's not
No,
that's
you guys are hating. You guys are hating.
Wow,
man.
we're hating.
A very engaging performance. I thought it was really well done. And
fair.
You guys aren't giving The Weeknd his dip.
All right. We need Gary Trent Sr. to set you straight as well.
So what did you make? I heard you were just lurking, listening to the first half hour of the show. So what do you make of all this latest talk about Shay being frustrated in OKC and the potential of him becoming a Toronto Raptor?
Yeah, I mean, I think you guys hit on most of the points. We've kind of heard these rumors like sprinkled in every 6 months consistently for the past couple of years. And I'm in agreement with you guys that nothing's happening this season. Like, no matter how bad things go, I don't think he's going to ask out. I don't think they're going to trade him this season. But it's kind of in OKC's hands here what they do with him, because they have all these future picks, right? So if they wanted to prioritize Shay's happiness, they could trade some of these picks and get veterans in the door and actually have like a balanced team, like a Utah Jazz, where there's some young players, some vets, and you actually give a guy like Shay like a real chance to win. And they could still have surplus picks and do this. Right now, the average age of their team is 23 years old. Like, even if Shay does everything that he's been doing, you just can't win with that kind of roster balance, right? Like 23 is insanely young. So it's up to OKC. Like if they keep fiddling around for the next couple of years and not really prioritizing his happiness and just getting young players in the door again and again, then I definitely see a world where he's like, all right, like I gave you guys a chance. I want out of here, and here are the destinations. And Toronto will definitely be on that list of destinations, like should it come to that. So I think that's where I'm kind of at with him, but I'm not sure that we have to wait 3 years. I think, this offseason, if they miss on a Wemby and a Scoot, and they have to get another guy who's going to take a long time to develop, like say the fifth pick in the draft, I think they really got to start considering moving Shea at that point, because that timetable just does not align with his.
Yeah. Don't waste a great player's time. I think that's like the big lesson in most of sports. But like, yeah, don't waste this time.
Don't
Like,
tank.
I mean, no, just like try to make a play for it. Like I agree with you, Oren. I actually think OKC has a great chance of obviously stopping it, when it gets to that point. But okay, I wanted to ask you about some of the other Canadians that we're going to see. So obviously we're seeing Shay tonight. What do you think? Double team him the whole night? Give him the Luka special?
Probably, yeah.
They
But
probably
I'm pretty,
should, man. He's averaging 32 points and he drives the ball 25 times a game.
They absolutely should, and they have. I mean, yeah, you can put OG on him, I guess, but in terms of the guards, because we know Nick doesn't like to put OG on a guy like Shea right away, so it'll probably be Fred and Gary getting that assignment, and those guys can't cover him in single coverage. So yeah, why not give him the DeMar DeRozan treatment? I'm pretty worried about this game tonight, not gonna lie, but
Oh, word?
we
Oren's
can
concerned.
move on. We
Okay.
can move. Yeah, because once OKC beats you, you have to seriously like look around.
Look in the mirror. Look in the mirror
Yeah,
time.
it's not a good look.
Okay. All right. Well, hopefully we don't get to that point. All right. What about
They almost lost to Houston, guys. I'm just saying.
Terrible game.
It was a nasty
Worst
one.
NBA game I've ever seen.
Okay. All right. Enough of that. Okay, but we're also going to see Benedict Mathurin and Andrew Nembhard against the Pacers on Saturday. Yeah, can you just fill us in? Like, what are these guys doing? All I'm seeing on the timeline, because I'm not obviously going out of my way to watch Indiana Pacers games, but when I watch the highlights, Mathurin is, I mean, explosive score. Very athletic guard. Looks very polished. And, yeah, I wanted to hear your thoughts on how those two Canadian guards are doing.
Yeah, I'll start with Nembhard. I'm not going to act like I've watched a bunch of Pacers games either, but I just wrote a story about Mathurin, so I know a good deal about him. With Nembhard, I think he's a guy that, going back to the Raptors, he was picked a couple spots above Koloko, and Koloko's been great, so I'm not trying to say
Yep.
anything about that, but really a guy the Raptors could have used right now off the bench, just in terms of like a stable. Everything that Nick Nurse talks about and what he wants from a backup point guard is what Andrew Nembhard does, just in terms of a stabilizing force, a guy who pushes the pace, a guy who finds his teammates in the right spots, and a guy who can put some pressure on the rim as well. So, again, not trying to be pessimistic or in here, but Flynn and Banton have not been great this season, and Andrew Nembhard is a guy who has come into the league as a rookie, and yeah, like he's starting games because Chris Duarte got hurt, so the last couple of games he's starting, and he just looks like a guy who has NBA experience. Like he's not doing anything crazy, but he's a good defender, and he just fits into what they do. Mathurin, on the other hand, he dropped 30 last game. Like he's I was listening to a podcast today, and everyone's talking about Mathurin as a potential rookie of the year, and he is definitely second behind Paolo right now. But what about like a sixth man of the year? Like he's leading all. He's like top 5 in bench scores. He's like legitimately in that conversation for sixth man of the year as a rookie.
Yeah.
I don't think that's ever happened. You could correct me if I'm wrong, but with Mathurin, yeah, I just wrote a story about him for Sportsnet.ca. If you guys know that website.
I heard of it.
And I talked to like 3 of his former coaches, and what stood out was, in terms of what he's doing well right now, is like he's a guy who doesn't go out of his zone in terms of like the type of shots he knows that he can hit. Like you see a lot of young guards, especially coming into the league, and shoot their step back threes and just turn over the ball. Just Houston Rockets guards, for example, like guys who just want to do a little bit of everything and end up not really doing anything well. Mathurin, if you watch him, he only takes like the type of shots that he's been scoring for years now, whether it's driving to the lane off a pin down, taking 2 steps and getting to the rim, or taking catch and shoot threes. Like He's not a guy who's going to take a bunch of mid-range jumpers. He's not a guy who's going to take a bunch of step-back threes. He shoots the shots that are already in his arsenal, and I think that's why he's having so much success right now.
Yeah, no, I love. It seems like every time the Pacers are playing, get like a news alert, like, oh, Benedict Mathurin has 28 points in 12 minutes, which I believe that happened last game. My favorite thing was his quote from draft night. He was asked about LeBron,
Oh,
and he was like, I don't think anybody's better than me. He's gonna have to show me he's better than me.
Oh yeah.
And
no, LeBron got to show it. LeBron got to show it at this point.
well, I hope, get well soon, LeBron, because I'm checking the Pacers schedule. The Pacers are playing in LA against the Lakers on Monday, November 28th.
Wow.
So,
Oof.
So which team is the
Popcorn.
Miles Turner gonna be playing for?
definitely gonna have to put a parlay on that. Before we let you go, Oren, Team Canada qualified for the 2023 World Cup yesterday with a victory, in Edmonton against Venezuela, and one step closer, to I think people have been waiting for them to finally make it to the Olympics for like the past decade and a half now, at least.
Yeah.
Well,
2000.
yeah, but I mean, like, ever since the buzz, like, around like the Andrew Wiggins group of guys that was coming up, right? There's
Yeah.
been so much talk, and that's been like a decade plus already. Well, what's the latest update? Give us a 60-second update, on Team Canada that people should know about.
Well, they dominated Venezuela, won by 38 last night against a team that I'm sure you guys remember in
2016?
2015.
Oh, 15. Yeah, that was.
Knocked them out of the Olympic qualifiers with a 1-point win. And this was a similar
Yeah.
Venezuelan team, like ranked 17th in the world, good team. And Canada basically did it with what you would consider their B or their C team because no NBA players are there. So it definitely showed the depth of the country. It showed the commitment that a lot of guys like the Scrub Brothers, Cassius Robertson, Melvin Edgem, these guys came from Europe, missed EuroLeague games, and committed to their country. So I think it just shows how deep the talent is now. So where even with the NBA players out, you can continue making up that ground. And that's going to help when it comes to the World Cup and the groups, because the higher the Team Canada keeps winning, the better group basically they're going to get in terms of less competition in their group. So these games still matter, even though they've qualified. And yeah, there's one on Sunday night people can check out. That's about it. I have a piece on Sportsnet today about the national team.
Okay, everyone, just look up Oren Weisfeld, Sportsnet, and check out his content. Follow Oren on Twitter as well. Oren, we got to run, man. Go listen to some Weekend. Have a great weekend.
Weekend. All right, guys. Thanks for having me. Have a great weekend yourselves.
I love Oren, man. Oren, best vibes, man.
That's why he's the favorite guest of the show.
Best
Because he literally comes
vibes.
on. He's very chill.
Yeah,
He's
he's like,
got
I don't want to be pessimistic though. If they lose to the Thunder tonight, it's time to look in the mirror. Speaking of which, it's time for Between the Lines, brought to you by Bet Rivers. It's a whole new game. The line for tonight's game, the Raptors are in Oklahoma City. The Raptors are 5-point favorites, -5 on Bet Rivers. Will, it's time to look in the mirror. Who do you like tonight and why?
Ah, man. It's a little tricky.
It's an interesting spread. Raptors is a favorite on the road without Pascal.
Without Pascal. Well, having Pascal, I would have no concerns about this game. Without him on the floor, I still think I still like the Raptors. I think that they will trap Shay a lot.
Okay.
And I'm very curious as to see what some of Shay's teammates might do in that scenario. I just don't know if some of his teammates can handle more playmaking. And hopefully they don't, because that's the way for the Raptors to win this game. It's probably going to be the same thing. Like, it'll be grind offensively. The Raptors will go through 4 or 5 minute droughts of not scoring.
Oh,
which
brother.
I'm sure you know all about that at this point.
We all do.
And, it won't be close. The game will get close because of the fact that, yes, your main guys can get you advantages, OG and Fred and guys like that. Gary probably should have a nice game here. I think he had a nice game against OKC last year. It's like these guys can give you leads, but can the bench hold on to those leads? Obviously you got to change in the lineup now with Precious being injured. Can Chris bounce back, right? You really do want to see Chris have a good performance, because we have a live show coming up, and I want to say nice things about him in person, which I probably will do regardless of whether or not he plays well. But also, he's had 2 points in the last 2 games. That's a big jump. We need that bench production from Chris. He's got to find his rhythm again. Thad's going to be involved. I think having more vets on the team this season, especially in these kind of games against younger teams, just like we saw against Houston. These guys are able to come in and settle it in, right? But yeah, I mean, I think offensively, the reality is the Raptors will probably go through some droughts, so it'll be hard to build or establish leads. But ultimately, I do expect the Raptors to win this game. Like we can't. I mean, look, listen, this is not going to be too hard. You trap Shay, you make Poku beat you, you make Jeremiah Robinson Earl beat you. You make some of these other guys have to hit some outside shots, and if they do, then yeah, it'll be a tough night. But I still think I like the Raptors. What about you?
Yeah, Raptors -5. I like that too. I think it was a very sluggish game for them against Houston. Hopefully they come out with a bit more energy.
I agree, yeah. Don't
tonight.
give up 37 points in the first quarter, then have to make a comeback and all this other
Yeah.
stuff. It's like, just play well from the start of the game for 4 quarters. And also, by the way, another big game for Scotty Barnes. Just, again, no one on this team should be able to handle you like that.
Yeah,
So.
and maybe if you're looking for silver lining with the Precious Achua injury, with the shortened rotation, with the limited options now for Nick, maybe he just plays guys like Thad Young and Otto Porter more, and we've seen positive results from that,
Yeah,
right?
no, I agree with you there. Yeah.
So maybe in the short term, that's the silver lining for this Raptors team. Another pick, I like the Knicks -8 at home against the Detroit Pistons. I think they've been playing well.
Bad.
They've been playing, and also the Knicks have been playing well at the Garden. That was Between the Lines, brought to you by Bet Rivers. It's a whole new game. Will, you have a wonderful weekend as well.
Yeah, you too, Alex.
I'll see you Sunday.
That does it for us today. I'm your host, Willu. You've been listening to The Raptors Show on the Sportsnet Radio Network. Make sure you find The Raptors Show wherever you listen to podcasts and subscribe. And please rate and review our show. Thanks again to producer and co-host Alex Wong. Thanks to Oren Weisfeld, our board producer Derek Brandeo, and Jennifer Rolnick for helping us with the YouTube stream. I'll talk to you next week. What is this, man? How many hoods do you have on right now?